Hey everybody, this is dropping in at Pipeline Audio number 110, and it's a phablet. And I'm trying Instagram. I do have a way to stream to Instagram from Restream, but I don't know if I could see the Instagram chat, so I'm trying this on my phone. I don't know if this is going to work. Let me know, you guys, if you guys are out on Instagram. We are trying this, like I say, for the first time. So I don't know. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or whatever else, and you want to jump on the chat, especially today, because I want to talk about 44K versus 48K. And if you have some 2 cents to put in and you want to jump on, click the link in the description. If you're on Instagram, I don't think you're going to be able to see that, but if you find the stream on your phone on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you will. And it's just a Restream chat link. Click it, I'll let you in, and we can talk. And with all that out of the way, like I said, this is dropping in at Pipeline Audio for you guys on Instagram. This is a weekly thing we do, and maybe the name's going to get changed soon. Who knows? But mostly it's just rants about the music industry marketing machine and how it messes us up as audio engineers and stuff. But we talk about all kinds of audio stuff. We have guests on like Ethan Weiner or Tommy Gibbons, people like that. And so today is, let's see, where are we going today? Okay, first of all, I was called upon to moderate a thread actually by the claimant in another one of these DAW summing magic threads. I thought that somebody was beating him up for being pro-science, but it turns out that it's actually the guy who came in saying that the DAWs sound different. So let me clear up some stuff real quick. Sorry. Oh yeah, welcome aboard. So let me just read I'm not going to want to say his name. Using Reaper now for 3 years is mostly my main DAW. However, the longer I use it, I notice that the sound of Reaper seems somewhat overly transparent, slightly cold or glassy to me, which is an effect I constantly seem to have to counteract. I've been, and still sometimes am, a long-time user of other DAWs like Cubase, Nuendo, Pro Tools, and Logic Pro. Reaper sounds the coldest to me. There's a tendency that it takes the body of the sound away somehow. Pro Tools is almost plain neutral, high class. Cubase, Nuendo are a little warmer, fat on body, juicy sounding, almost like an EMU 3 sample compared to an Akai sampler for the ones who know. Okay, sorry. Just a little burpy. Logic sounds very good, though a little mushy, and certain built-in plugins are unusable. The limiter is a medium-level catastrophe. Has anyone else with experience on other DAW noticed Reaper sounding slightly cold, overly clear? Thanks for sharing. I wonder how to improve this audio engineering engine with the democratic concept of Reaper as world-leading. The sound, to me, isn't yet there. Okay, first of all, I can't even imagine what too transparent would be. I mean, that's what we're after. We are after the maximum transparency we can possibly get. Always, right? I mean, what in the world other than that? That is where you want to be. It's transparent. It's transparent. I can't look when you plug your guitar into a guitar amp and you want it to distort. Sure. Then you don't really want transparency. Most of the time, you want it transparent. I don't know what too clear could be, what too transparent could be. This is kind of crazy. So let me just getting a couple people here. So, we always talk about what audio fidelity is, and hey, Frogs Jen, we always talk about what these things are. Fidelity, like is it adding distortion? Is it limiting your bandwidth? Is it a flat frequency response, and is it adding noise? That's mainly what we think about. So I don't know what could be too transparent, but apparently this guy doesn't like his transparent. The other part that we got to say about this thing is remember, this was an early thing about DAWs before Reaper was born, actually. And a lot of us actually went out and did null tests on every DAW we could find. And we could null all of them to like minus 100 something. Past what you're going to hear. If you really wanted to make pathological files, there was a way to make Pro Tools mess up. And there were some different panning laws in certain programs and stuff, but it's nothing that you're going to hear as any of this kind of thing. And it's just like, you know, this DAW summing thing comes up every couple of years, but you know, it's just fun to laugh about and stuff. And yeah, I like to laugh about it actually. But the thing to me is where it really, like in this case, this guy really came out with some descriptive terms. Reaper sounds the coldest to me. There is a tendency that it takes the body of the sound away somehow. Pro Tools is almost plain neutral, high class. Now, you know, you guys on the JREF or whatever, you're going to look at this and say, oh, these are weasel words, and they're not really saying anything. And it's like saying warmth or bright or whatever. But you know, always assume people are being honest, you know, unless you got a real good reason not to. And, you know, the principle of charity should apply. You know, he may be hearing something very different, or this is what he's perceiving, and it's interesting. So, a Cubase Nuendo are a little warmer, fat on body, juicy sounding. Logic sounds very good, though a little mushy. And you know, they're asking how to improve the audio engine. You know, if by audio engine you mean 2 + 2 = 4, you can't really. I don't know that there's much improvement to be made. In terms of efficiency, Reaper is absolutely awesome. If that's what you're talking about for the engine, it's oh boy. It's just this is the unsinkable rubber duck that just will not go away. You know, they got into a big fight. You know, of course somebody's going to make a and some gonna be some insults and stuff going back and forth. This is one of those things where, you know, I used to get called all the time because I showed that these files actually nulled, and they just said, well, you're not experienced enough, you don't know what good gear sounds like. And I would usually take a picture in front of my giant mountain of all the boutique mic preamps all these guys were talking about, which I don't use anymore, and I really didn't use back then so much, just that they were there. Somebody brought up making an exception for Mixbus, where they have intentionally put their thumb on the sound scale. That's true to a degree, but I actually did a video called Reaper versus Mixbus or something, DAW summing, and for the most part, it was still really far down on minus 80 or something. And then people are clarifying. So one person said, if you mean the entire architecture of the DAW, which includes all the stock plugins, yeah, they're going to find lots of differences. But yeah, this is just sad. And then it devolves into all insults. And then, of course, you know, somebody calls me to come moderate the thread. And, you know, as a free speech zealot, unless it's obviously spam or, you know, scammers or whatever, I'll usually leave it be. You know, if the user specifically asked to not derail the thread, like we had how many episodes on this show actually about ask a technical question, get a technical answer. You know, if they really ask, then let's keep it on topic. But, you know, seems okay. I don't really know how to use this Instagram Live. I'm actually streaming also on Restream, so to YouTube and Facebook, where if you guys come in and you want to join this show, just click the link that's in the description, and you can, not on the Instagram description, but on the other ones. You can come on and talk about this. But anyway, this is the DOS summing myth going again, and it just goes to show, assuming this guy is being honest and stuff, how much your ears can fool you. And like James Randi said, it's not, fooling people is one thing in magic, but the real magic is in getting people to fool themselves. And the marketing machine has gotten you to the point where you are so paranoid and want to fool yourself all the time that you're always going to spend money on junk you don't need, for things that measure exactly the same, for no improvement. And there's just one of those things. This is why we ABX test everything. With a caveat, with the DAW summing, we don't always ABX test because if I can null something, there's no reason to have a listening test. If it's meant to null, that's also something that you got to keep in mind for what's going on. Ooh, looks like Alex over at Audio Assault is trying to get the update today for the RevX and Sigma, and we'll get tuners and the his PV amp thing is coming for an update too. That's pretty cool. Okay, so anyway, let's leave that one be. But just think about if you like we say, you're gonna bring claims in, you better bring evidence with it. So okay, so this is really gonna make a bunch of you mad, and I am sorry, but over the last while, I've for the most part recommended. Oh man, this is going to get me fired off of YouTube and everything else. But I've recommended against buying Macs, OS X devices for digital audio workstations, and I did that for several reasons. Now, if you go to DawBench, if you go to the places that are actually benchmarking this stuff, if you don't take my word for it, you will see that the minimum round trip latency is going to be lower on a PC than on a Mac. That's not why. You'll see that you'll be able to run more of the same plugins on the PC than on the Mac at the same latency. And that's not why. There's tons of reasons where you might want a PC, you might want a Mac. There's tons of reasons where one may be better than the other. The reason I recommend against this stuff is that it has become so hard as a user or as a developer to keep your plugins working. Your plugins that were working perfectly fine. And I love when people tell me that it's for some security thing. And I always ask, hey, how many people have had their credit card stolen by installing a free VST like Forefront's Virtual Piano or Bass or whatever? And I never get an answer to that. I get insults or I get crickets. So, throw that one out the window. It's good. Macs have a lot of really good security, and that's good. And I'm not going to complain about that. But that doesn't mean that you got to break perfectly working stuff in order to update this thing. You could easily figure out a way around this. And it's become such an insane problem that like every tutorial out there, by the time it's written and uploaded to YouTube, you already can't install the plugins that were shown on that tutorial. And you know how much I hate monopolies. Google, YouTube, all this stuff. I don't want to see Microsoft with a monopoly. I know Reaper runs on Linux now and stuff, so that's cool. But again, it still feels like asking for a monopoly, and I don't want a monopoly. You know that ain't me. But there's not much I could really do about that, Anyway. So this is, I don't know what this is, RyanSutter.net. It says the maker, musician, and software developer. And he put out an article called The Mac Device, Why the Apple M1 MacBooks No Longer Qualify as Full-Fledged Personal Computers. I had said this a while back about, once these things started getting ridiculous. And here's the tagline for it. If it has to be jailbroken and sideloaded in order to run approved code and then disposed of when it's reached its predetermined end of life, What you've got there isn't a computer, it's a smart device. So I'm probably not going to read this whole thing, but let's just get to the gist of it. And this is what I'm talking about. It is we were just having an argument about performance. There's no way, if a developer has to spend all their time just playing catch up to getting their software running, that's all the development time they could have spent on optimizing their code. So this thing says, when Steve Jobs debuted the original iPhone, it was clearly a very small computer. There was a CPU, a screen, memory, input, output. Almost every device we use these days, from televisions to watches to vacuum cleaners, is some sort of computer. I have smart light bulbs that are technically computers. I say this because I want to make a distinction between a personal computer and a smart device. A smart device is a computer by any technical definition, but there are some things that differentiate a smart device from a PC, mainly based on how the technology is intended to be used and maintained by the purchaser. To illustrate the difference, I will compare and contrast my television, my phone, and my laptop. My television is an LG Smart TV. It has apps and an app store, and it has some sort of operating system that is referred to as firmware. Maybe it's Android, maybe it's WebOS, maybe it's something else. I honestly don't know, and I don't care if I'm not supposed to care. There's a Netflix app and a Hulu app and the like, so it can do television things. While it is technically a computer, I don't think of it as a computer, and I don't use it as a general purpose computer, and neither would any normal person. Other than my ability to choose which channels I watch or which apps I install to tailor the television to my needs, I would never be expected to open the hardware or alter the underlying firmware. I would never hack my television. The product is defined, designed, and controlled by LG and sold as a single-purpose smart device with a curated and controlled experience, and when it no longer works as you desire, you are intended to dispose of it and buy another one. Okay. Almost everything I said about my television also applies to my phone. My current phone is also an LG, coincidentally, but I've also owned iPhones and Android-powered phones from other manufacturers. All of these phones are smart devices, and like the television, they have a proprietary hardware design with embedded firmware that is controlled by the manufacturer. They feature some sort of app store that allows for the installation of new capabilities, but they are sold as dedicated devices, not general-purpose computers. You cannot easily install alternate firmware or execute code that is not distributed via the App Store. You cannot replace or upgrade the internal hardware. Well, you sort of can, right? Maybe you could put in an SD card or something. When they fail, you're expected to recycle them and buy new ones. Now, let's compare that to my laptop. In this case, it's a Lenovo Yoga 920, but I also have an older MacBook sitting nearby. In both cases, the machine comes with an operating system similar to the firmware on the television or phone, but with one key difference. I can pick which operating system I'd like to use and even install more than one. My Lenovo is currently running Microsoft Windows 10, but can also boot into Linux. The MacBook defaults to Mac OS, but can also boot up to either Windows or Linux. If I don't want to configure multiple boot setups, I can run virtual machines within host operating systems. For example, I routinely run an Android virtual machine on my Windows laptop using BlueStacks so that I can use certain Android apps that aren't available on Windows. There are no fundamental obstacles in place barring me from doing any of these things. I bought the hardware. I choose what I want to do with it. I do not have to pay Lenovo or Apple for the privilege of using the hardware I own for general purpose computing, whatever that may be. I bought it once. I own it. I'm free to alter its behavior. It's more than just operating systems, though. Let's talk about software and data. I don't know if you guys are getting bored to death of me reading this. You can read this yourself. But in general, there is that difference. And plus, you can go inside. Laptop's a little bit trickier, but definitely if you have a desktop, you can normally go in there and start hacking it apart, put in different video cards, RAM, whatever else you want. It's getting to the point where hardware, you cannot do that on the Apple stuff. And you still kind of can on the desktop, but even then it's getting a little dicey. But the laptops have been a little bit goofy about that for quite a while. Let's see what his tagline here. Jailbreaking was never a concept in the world of personal computers, and this illustrates a fundamental difference. You don't need to break out of a jail that isn't there. In the smart device space, it's common to hear the term sideloading. Sideloading is when you put content that is not approved by the SD manufacturers onto the device. For instance, if you purchase an Amazon Kindle and attempt to put a book onto the device that you didn't get to Amazon. If a friend sends you an EPUB or PDF and says you should read this, you can do that on your PC, but not on your Kindle. So, you need to jailbreak it to open it. Personal computers have, until the M1 Mac, never been designed to need jailbreaking. They have never come before with baked-in limits to what code you could run on the hardware you purchased. Now, I don't think that's quite true. I think, given you kind of had to jailbreak. I mean, it's not the same thing as a normal jailbreak on a phone, but you had to hack the crap out of it in order to get certain plugins to install that ran just fine in the version before. And being that Apple tries to act like they're the education computer and they're the computer that you're sending to kids and stuff, that's not something I want kids doing. I don't want them hacking around in the OS just to install a free plugin. That's ridiculous. So I'm not going to say that they didn't have to jailbreak them before. You did. You had to jailbreak them since this. What is it? I don't even know. Catalina. I'm sure it was worse before that, but or sure it was bad before that. But this Catalina and whatever the next one is, it's just been a nightmare to support. The final point is about hardware itself and whether or not you're intended to be able to upgrade or repair it. If my TV or phone die, I'll recycle them. But if my PC in my basement refuses to boot up someday, I'll repair it. Every component in the box is replaceable or upgradable. The power supply, the video card, the processor, the motherboard itself. The entire hardware configuration is modular and component-based. This used to be true of virtually every computer built or sold, but in recent years, laptops have become less upgradable and repairable, a trend led by Apple. I don't know. I remember some pretty proprietary Windows laptops as well. But yeah, nothing like Apple where they, where you have to have this whole fight in Congress about a right to repair. I mean, that is, holy crap. It's as bad as the printer ink thing, right? It was commonplace to have a replaceable battery pack until Apple's quest to make a thinner and thinner machines put a stop to that. Replaceable hard drives and memory were done away with again by Apple a few years ago, and they started gluing or soldering the components in. This trend towards laptops that cannot be altered from their purchase state is a choice by Apple to drive sales of new machines rather than allow users to update old machines. A sales decision, not an engineering one. Well, this guy, I don't know. Who knows? I won't read intent. He's probably right. But, yeah. Let's see what he said. Anyway, it's a pretty good article. So I'm going to say it's ryansutter.net. That's RyanSutter.net. And it's the article is called "The Mac Device: Why the Apple M1 MacBooks No Longer Qualify as Full-Fledged Personal Computers." I'm going to let it go from there. You guys know my feelings on this craziness. So let's see, what else do I have for you? Excuse me. And again, anybody want to join? Okay, I see you guys on YouTube. If you want to join, get on the link in the description. You can just jump on and start babbling at me, because I'm going to have something for you in a second that I kind of want some opinions on. I'm in a little trouble. Okay, so now, yeah, so every once in a while, and it used to be, I used to run everything at 48K, and then, this is so crazy. To deal with CDs and stuff easier, I just went back to 44K and just left it there. And for the most part, when I do the AVX tests and stuff, I can't tell who's who. If I make pathological files that are definitely going to alias, I can make it so you can pick out which one is which. There's benefits at 48K. It's a slightly more data, slightly more processing, not by much. You got a bigger bandwidth, so you can make a longer anti-aliasing filter, hopefully, and slightly slower latency. So all in all, it'd be better to go to 48K, and that's where the computer thinks it wants to be half the time anyway. So maybe that's what I should do. Anyways, yesterday I was doing a stream and I ran everything at 44K, and Restream still told me it was at 48K. because I'd read that I was setting up streaming in OBS and trying to get it, more better optimized, more better. But YouTube on their spec sheet was saying 44K. So, I set everything to 44K, which is what everything runs at here anyway. But OBS was set to 48K. And, whenever you always see these troubles where your computer tries to burp back and forth and you end up with clicks and pops. I think I was trying to help Simon Larkin with something today. I think his problem was it was actually trying to jump sample rates on him. I'm not positive, but I have a feeling that's what it was. And, it's just going to be a little bit safer that way on 48K, I think, unless it starts trying to jump to 32K or something. So, oh boy, that is not what I want right now. Sorry. Let's see if that just keeps going. Hopefully this is still going. Sorry, guys. I don't know how do you shut your phone off when you're doing a live? I've never done the Instagram live stream before. So, I was looking at how do I, if I wanted to really get this working right, how do I force Google Chrome to stay at 44K? And I found pages and pages of people trying to ask and no real answers ever from Google. I've emailed them before and never got an answer. And this is, look, sorry, I hate Google. I'll just put it out there. I guess you guys know that. At first I used to make fun of all the Euros for being crazy conspiratorial about Google and stuff. And I go, they're a search engine. What are you complaining about? They made a search, so we use it. What's the big deal? But now they own everything and they act like complete, what's. So, of course, here's a forum thread and the Google support threads. I want to force Chrome to play sound at 44K. And some other people were saying, yeah, I'd like to know too. And, of course, what is the response by YouTube, Google, whatever? This question is locked and replying has been this question is locked and replying has been disabled. And that's it. They're never going to answer. I mean, it's... So, really, should I be going to 48K? I don't know. There's so many things that'll go better. The downside for me is existing projects, right? But there's not that many of them. We run... we've detailed the setup over here, but out in the big room, the fake picture that I'm in front of anyway, I have a word clock generator, and let's not get into all this again, but I have that because certain of my devices do not have defeatable termination in their word clock inputs, which they should definitely have. But some of mine don't, and unless I want to buy some more mic preamps, which I don't really want to do. I guess I could. Once gear is back for sale again, it's not just crazy prices and everything, maybe I'll try and get some. But right now, I for 8-channel mic preamps with ADAT out and defeatable word clock termination, they're a little expensive right now. So anyway, my clock is out there in the big room. I'd have to set that to 48K and then, keep an eye on what I might have going at 44K. It's just everything's run at 44K for so long. But that's really all there is. As long as somebody doesn't switch that clock. And maybe I could just put the clock in here and leave it on. I don't know. So for you guys who don't know, the rooms are arranged that all the mic preamps with ADAT outs, they have 2 ADAT outs apiece. So one set of ADAT outs goes into a Motu 2408 out in the big room. They can work on whatever they want to work on. The other set of ADAT outs comes into here in my control room into a RME Digiface USB, which has another ADAT input that I plug another mic preamp into, and I just have them all chase that same word clock. And so if some joker out there decided to flip it and we weren't watching, I'd be in some trouble. But then again, they could do that right now. So maybe I'm just going to switch to 48K. If you think that's a dumb idea, jump on the stream and let me know. I'm happy to talk about 48 versus 44K. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or whatever, you can just click the link in the description and you should be able to get to my Restream live studio thing. I wonder if I could put it in I can't make it clickable inside this Restream thing, I don't think. And so you'd have to like type out the whole thing. There's no way to copy and paste that. Sounds lame. So I won't do that. I'll look into that for next week. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't want you to have to copy and paste that. Yeah, that's the only downside I can think is the opening existing projects. So I guess that's it about that. So if nobody wants to yell at me about that, I think I might be switching. I don't know. And of course, we got some more Reaper users group nonsense. We had a couple shows on here about the attacks I got for trying to help with the VST2 thing, or when I was trying to work on computer setup. Apparently the mods there don't think that Reaper setup is a legit topic for the Reaper user group. So I got attacked by, as usual. And look, I'm not the offense monkey and the triggered monkey. I like the free speech. I'm a zealot for free speech, but at the same time, it's getting to the point over there. You guys don't want to hear this broken record, but where so many people have to preface their statements, just their perfectly legit questions with, this is a technical question that requires a technical answer, and please don't preach or make moral judgments, about when I'm asking you computer setup questions. And the things just get ugly to the point where I'm just like, I give up, But this time, Simon Larkin, of all people, a guy who makes all the videos for these guys, so all these videos that other Reaper users watch and stuff. Really nice guy, good content. Subscribe to his channel, Simon Larkin. He told him to Google it. He was asking some questions about live streaming Reaper. And I don't know, we've done several shows on this already. Google is just about useless at this point for finding the kind of information that you could find just a couple of years ago. It's been getting steadily worse, but at this point it is worthless. And I've gotten to the point where I actually search the Wayback Machine for this stuff rather than using Google. I've tried DuckDuckGo and Bing and stuff, but they're kind of bringing up the same sorts of problems. DuckDuckGo a little bit different, but still, yeah, we're not where we used to be with these search engines. So the Wayback Machine sometimes works for these things that you might want to get. So Googling it, in fact, on my evidence-based audio engineering and education group, the one thing that I will nail you for is telling people to go Google something. Google's worthless. And besides, even if they could find it on there, they came here to ask us. They want the expertise of people who have been around the block a time or two on this. Or if they haven't, now you've just challenged the group to learn something, which is even better. Then the whole group learns. Either way, the whole group learns. So we're going through OBS settings, and it's one thing here at the school where I have that Digiface USB. It has the RME, so of course you can do loopbacks on every channel or whatever. Though it would be nice if RME added virtual loopbacks. We didn't have to give up hardware channels for it. Listening RME, that would be super awesome. But at home, with the onboard sound or like a Focusrite 202i2, it's not very fun. You got to be running like virtual audio cables and all kinds of sketchy stuff. So it's an ordeal. And telling Simon Larkin to go Google it, man, this place has reached a new low. Though John Tidy says that the mods do get an alert when somebody says Google it or things like that, which is great. That's good news. Now just stop letting them derail the threads and stop taking the sides of the preachers and sermonizers. I'd like to see that. Let's see. So I think that's all I got for this week. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this next week. I may just try to do the live stream from Restream. It makes a really crappy screen for the Instagram guys. I'm not going to go vertical video for the normal users, so I'm not exactly sure what to do, but I'll take a look and see what I can't do. And anyway, next week we'll see you guys again. Hopefully I'm going to have a special guest, and hopefully I'm going to be a special guest on somebody else's show. Anyhow, we'll see you guys later.